Hi, everybody. Hi. Thank you. Who's that? Thank you. Thanks, Hassan. Like plants. So there's like, it's ArabNet, but there's no like remote on the PowerPoint. So like, I'm gonna dance back and forth a little bit. I'm not good with like podiums. Like they're a bit like restrictive. So I have 15 minutes. I'm gonna talk quick, which is not really that unusual. So what I'm going to talk about is what we do from travel perspective, right? So a bit about me real quick, just so you know who is this guy talking. So 2 years ago, almost to the day, myself, a guy sitting at the back, actually started a company with some support, which you'll hear about tomorrow if you're around, where there's a session about us as a business. Started a company called GoNabit. We're the first daily deal business in the Middle East, the first globally in Arabic, the first in the UAE, the first in Lebanon, the first in Jordan, the second in Egypt, the first in Kuwait. And so interesting to hear the conversations about credit cards, and nobody uses their credit cards online and whatever, so I'll talk a bit about that. I know a little bit about credit cards online. One aspect of our business which is growing fantastically for us is travel. When we were GoNabit, we used to call it GoNabit Getaways. Last June, we were purchased as a company by a company called Living Social, which is based in the United States. We're in 23 countries around the world. Everywhere from Australia and South Korea to France and the States and Canada and lots of different places. And so we roughly as a business have a little over 60 million members as a business. And so right now we're operating in Egypt, Lebanon, and the UAE. And, happy to talk if anybody has any questions at the end. I'll talk about some specific Lebanon things, some specific Egypt things, less so, some specific UAE points, and related to some global points as well too, just for some context. But if anybody has any much more specific Lebanon questions, both from a travel perspective, but just in terms of what we do from an e-commerce perspective, I'm happy to answer. So just a bit of context. So what are some of the things we wake up thinking about as a business? Okay, so really what we wake up thinking about is a bunch of things. So we wake up thinking about the fact that, I guess depending on what part of the world you're talking about, whether it's a third or a half or 10%, you know, if people have been born with the internet. I wasn't. I was born with a pencil and a piece of paper, which was a bit painful, but you know, later on in my life, you know, the internet came around and I didn't think it was a big deal, and now it's kind of the business that I do and it's the area I'm involved in. But really focused on the fact that, you know, people, the kind of the OTA session before us and then the Amadeus one talking about the internet. So it's not really something that's coming in the future. It's not something that's building. It's something that's happening 2 years ago and last year and today. So please don't think that it's something that's in the future and we'll get to it and our business will get to it down the road. Our business got to it 2 years ago. So, you know, if your business at all has anything to do with online, you know, if you're not going to do it now, then you're going to watch somebody else do it instead of you. Okay, so accept that fact. So one of the things that we think about too is FOMO. So we think of people's fear of missing out. Okay, this whole idea that there's so much publishing, there's so much updating and status updates, and you know, tweeting and info blasting and communicating. It's also creating that situation where all those things that are happening where it's not happening where you are, it's something you're missing out on, right? And so whether that's an activity, whether that's an event, it's really about being out of the loop and disconnected, right? But it's also a great motivation to reach out and be a part of something else and to create connections, share, and thrive, right? And so one of the things we think about is that, is people's fear of missing out, and really not playing off of that, but really feeding that, facilitating that. Something else, so there's a study that's done in the States, and so a third of women between the age of 18 and 34 check Facebook in the morning before they go to the bathroom, all right? So the fact that people are so hyper-connected in that sense, and so, a lot of it is what was being posted and shared and done while I was sleeping, right? And don't tell me your phone doesn't sit beside your bed while you're sleeping. Don't tell me you don't open up your phone before you even get out of bed in the morning, because I do it too. But, so we think a lot about this, right? We also think about, mobile is exciting, it's no secret that PC sales are slowing compared to mobile sales, but it's something that we're not thinking about so much as we're looking to do more of what we're doing, and I'll talk about that. But I guess there's also that concept too about how social are we really? Does a social network make us more social or less social? So this is a lot of context for us, and so as a travel marketing business and a travel sales business, which is one of the core businesses that we have, is how do we think about being born digital, motivated by fear of missing out, and going mobile, and how does this affect our business really? And so, people are interested in telling stories, and so this is actually a picture from a place called Diamond Head in Hawaii, and once upon a time you'd probably go up in this peak and watch the sunset rise, and now you go up there with 300 people all with like mobile phones taking pictures of the same sunset. But people are looking for stories and looking to record activities and behaviors, right? And so one of the things that we look from a travel perspective is we're very non-OTA, because an OTA is all about, I want to go somewhere, let me go and see what's out there. We're very much about suggesting opportunities and helping people create stories and create travel stories, right? So what's Living Social Escapes? It's essentially our travel channel, our travel portal. It's merchandised and displayed much differently than our local deals perspective. So we don't use the word group buying. We don't have a tipping point anymore that we work with. So whenever there's a panel on group buying, I don't know what group buying is anymore. We're a local commerce company where we do local deals, which is service-based businesses. We do travel. We do product sales. We just launched product sales in the UAE, for example, as the global market, soft launch market for that. We also do a lot of the things like online food ordering in the US, gourmet adventures and different things. So we're a local commerce business, okay? So what do we do, right? And how do we think about this? And how does all these social aspects relate to us, and how does it relate to travel with us, but also in general? And the first thing is that, is people are really interested in storytelling, but also brand storytelling, right? So if you look back at the way we merchandise the hotels that we work with, is that we essentially package it. So we don't sell a room. What we sell is essentially like a weekend or a trip in a box, right? So it might be 1 or 2 or 3 night stay, plus a massage, plus breakfast, plus lunch, plus, depending on the country, whether horseback riding or ATV rides or falconry or scuba diving or something. So we're basically creating that. We let people buy it from anywhere because typically, depending on what parts of the world we're in, we tend not to include flights. Our partners in the Philippines are doing a lot, including flights. In the States, they're doing a lot of things, including flights. We haven't done so much with that so far yet, but we're essentially packaging that. We give people open access. So what we're doing from a pricing perspective is that the price you pay on us is good over a long period. And I'll talk about some of the promotions we're running now where you have a year to go and use it. And we look to do best pricing during that period, right? And so, but by the way we merchandise with multiple images, we write deal copy with the business, we paint a picture in words of what your experience is going to be. We're helping that business not generate business at a discount, but tell the experience and show the experience of what it's going to be like at that hotel, which you're never going to see on an OTA, for example. Because what you're going to see is here's a list of a whole bunch of hotels near the place you're going, here's the price, here's the name, maybe here's some reviews, right? So we're much more presenting that place. We're much more marketing that business through what's effectively a sales channel as well. Because remember, we're not linking off to someone else's site, you're transacting with us, right? Oops. Hooray. So what else we do is we create demand versus reacting to demand. So, for example, last Wednesday, I don't know how many people woke up saying, I want to go to the Banyan Tree Hotel in Ras Khimah. But since then, and the voucher number sold is outdated because I did it yesterday, but we've almost hit 1,500 room nights sold, so it's actually a couple dollars less than $600,000. So since Wednesday, credit cards through a website, Middle East, we've done $600,000 of sales of room nights at the Banyan Tree. So next time somebody says people don't use their credit cards, I heard the word afraid before. Please stop with the word afraid, okay? If you give something that people want to buy, a price they want to pay, and a trustworthy environment, and also people that can answer questions about something before, during, and after they buy, you're going to have a really effective store in the mall. But you're also going to have a really effective website as well, because it's no different. Last time you were in the mall, there was a store that had stuff you wanted to buy and a price you wanted to pay. So you went inside. Maybe, but if the place looked like junk, you're not going to buy anything from there, right? But if the place doesn't look like junk, but you ask a question, the person's clueless, you're not going to buy, you're going to think twice about it, right? But if you're doing all 4 of those things, then you're going to sell. The same thing works with a website, right? Don't worry about payment gateways. If you have something that someone wants to buy and a price they're willing to pay, I'll help you with payment gateways. There's lots of solutions. We use completely different payment gateways. In every country we operate, we acquire in multiple currencies. We do some days, some weeks, $600,000 of transactions on one particular promotion. You have something someone wants to buy and a price they're willing to pay, I'll sort you out payment gateways. Okay, so don't let payment gateway be, I hear people say all the time, I want to start a business, but I'd start it, but payment gateways. The problem is you don't have anything that people want to buy is your first problem. Once you solve that, it's like saying I was going to open a store in the mall, but I couldn't really get a cash register. You know what, if you have something you want to buy, you can get a cash register. It's no different, right? And in the region, there's fantastic solutions now. Pricing is fairly comparable to other parts of the world because I can tell you the prices all over the world. In terms of the technology is as secure as anywhere else in the world. The actual payment gateways is a really bad product, right? So the payment gateway that you see from Bank Audi or AIB in Egypt or Network National in the UAE or Mashreq Bank or National Bank of Abu Dhabi, it's a horrendous product. So if there's anyone from MasterCard in the room, it's a horrendous product, you have a horrendous product, right? So people buy despite that payment gateway, not because of it. But there's a lot of solutions around it. Visa's bringing wonderful solutions to the region, which they've brought to the UAE already. They're bringing to Lebanon and other countries as well. So there's lots of solutions. But again, for us, it's about creating demand. So we did research. 70% of people that buy our escapes didn't wake up in the morning saying that they were actively looking for a vacation. I mean, OTAs are really, kind of 1990s in a sense, where they did a fantastic job of aggregating properties and accessing people's demands. People said, I want to go somewhere, right? What we're doing is we're going out and creating demand for specific properties that we work with. And then what's also happening is now that I have, thousands of people buying things, is I can expand into kind of what they do a bit more, into regular price trips, maybe even to flights and things as well, because I have far more of an audience than anyone else who's trying to do like the OTA play in this part of the world, right? Also, what we do is, social commerce is measured in transactions. We do transactions. We don't do lead generation. So a couple examples, we did, so Lebanon e-commerce, what does it look like? A couple weeks ago, we did a deal with the Bekaa Valley Country Club. We sold almost $50,000 worth of room nights, credit cards through a website in Lebanon. You find me somebody else in Lebanon that's accepting credit cards through a website, first of all, and I'll give you a prize. But second of all, that's doing $50,000 over a few days, right? If you provide something people want to buy and a price they want to pay and you make it possible for them to buy it, they will buy it, right? This one is in Abu Dhabi. $65,000, $66,000. So find me someone else in the region that's doing that from a travel perspective, okay? And you know what? And it took a lot of hard work at first. So I'm not saying it's easy, but the hard work was around customer support, trustworthy environment, SSL certificates, to privacy policies, to all that trust piece. It's about having customer support in English, Arabic, and French. It's about doing all those kind of things, but really made it possible for us to do these kind of numbers. What is this? So we launched Living Social Escapes 14 months ago, and in the US, we've sold over 1 million room nights in the first 14 months. There's not a lot of businesses that are doing that. So we're a very strong player when it comes to travel and online travel. And it should be exciting from a buyer perspective, great. So I'm not going to tell you what our deal is tomorrow. There's actually a great deal today, I'll show you in a second, which is in Lebanon. But why? Because we don't want you to build up ideas of what you want to do necessarily. If you want to do that, great, there's other places that do that. But for us is what's there, sounds great, I want to buy it, right? And we give you a compelling way. We lower the bar in terms of price, but we serve as an active sales channel for these businesses, and we bundle travel experiences. Social, local, mobile, all right? So this is something we think about a lot, right? And this is something we're doing right now as a business, right? So how are we social? People talk about social media, doing kinds of things. So for us, social media is only interesting. I'm going to talk as a business perspective, right? So I value humanity, I like humans, but social media for us is important as a channel insofar as it drives transactions. And I agree with the statement before about fans. Fans are great, if they come on and buy something, right? But we have competitors, for example, that have 800,000 Facebook fans and sell very little. And we have, in some markets, less than that, and we sell a lot more, right? So it's a matter of who are those people, and are they actually your target demographic? And are they adding to your business, right? Because otherwise, any investment you make in building that base is an investment you're better off making somewhere else, where it's actually like a revenue-generating channel, right? And so for us, we think a lot about this. Local for us is in a lot of ways. Local is by doing local to local in every market we're in. It's also mobile. It's also having local staff in all the markets you're in that understand those markets, but also being mobile. So you never, ever, ever have to visit our website. You can take out your phone right now, whether you have an iOS device, be it an iPhone or an iPad, we have an Android phone, and you can download our application. You can open our application. You can see what's on for sale now. Oh, I want to go to the Stan Stefano Resort in Patroon. You can go over here. It's actually like 50 now. That was this morning. But you can buy. So it's like 2 nights in a studio plus, I think, like breakfast or something. $98. Click buy now. Use your credit card. Buy it. Once the deal ends, the voucher's there on your phone. You walk into the place and say, here you go. Here's my voucher. Once you've booked, of course, right? You never have to visit the website. So, people talk about mobile and the opportunities of mobile in the region and everything else. Once you have like proper payment systems and gateways, and once you've built up trust and confidence, you can do things where people can actually transact through mobile and can live the opportunity that people talk about that exists in mobile. So it's not something that's happening next year and next month and tomorrow and whatever. Us as a business, we're doing it today. So in Lebanon, you can open up a mobile application, purchase, and they'll go redeem something, right? So these things exist today, okay? What else? So I mean, ultimately, travelers want experiences, right? So we're in the process of trying to create experiences. We look at the places that we work with, and we ultimately have one objective, right? Is that, what's the kind of business where we would want to go? We want to have that experience. We would want to, take our mom or take our sister or take our wife or take our kids. Can we structure something that works for us and the business and for buyers as well? And how can we make that easy for them to go out and do? And I think, from a travel perspective, it's something, we're excited about doing. Some of the things we're doing early days right now is because we have presence in lots of other markets, we exchange a lot of content. So you'll see with us, hotels, and trips for sale in London and Paris and Barcelona as the summer nears, because we just use our partners in France and the UK who have already signed those deals, and they bring them to us. And we distribute them to our local market. Vice versa is we go out and say, people in the States probably want to come to Petra, or they probably want to go diving in the Red Sea, or want to go to Dubai, or want to go to Sri Lanka, or whatever. So we can cross-market those in the States as well, or in Europe, or in Southeast Asia. And so it's nice to have that network. But it's also nice to have a very kind of like sitting forward audience who are open to those experiences, and that are visiting the site or receiving the emails and are looking to be suggested to and not just accessing latent demand. So that's us. That's what we do. That's what I got. These are my contacts. If anyone wants to reach out, these are Lebanon contacts. Happy to emails, mobile. Somebody has business ideas, wants to come work for us, wants to complain about something, please let me know. I love to hear. I don't love to hear complaints, but I'd rather hear them than not hear them, and I can do something about them. Any ideas you have, we're always hiring. So that's me, that's us. Yeah.
Thank you, Dan. I have two related questions. A couple of days ago, there was an article, I think, on Fast Company about how the business model for group buying is not really working anymore because the deal suppliers do not really find enough value, that customers are not returning, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the travel group buying aspect of it is more like a classical, traditional model that has been always used by travel agency, only that it's more social right now.
The issue with the travel agent is that if I'm a hotel, I have to give such a big discount to a travel agent, I might never sell anything, right? You have a discount to me, and I go out and sell it, and I give you performance-based. But, sorry, finish your question, because I have a lot to say about the first point. But sorry, I'm trying to hold myself back.
No. So my question was this, was Escape's division of Living Social the solution to counteract what doesn't seem to be working with other forms of
the daily deals bit was completely failing, so we brought this out to try to salvage like our business. Actually, it was really, we had that conversation internally, and no, I'm just kidding. So we launched Escapes a long time ago. So I mean, I see lots of these articles, basically people don't come back, and it's failing, and Living Social, Groupon, and everyone else, the model's dying. You know what I know? I know that in every single market that we operate, our local deals business continues to grow at a fantastic pace. I know that when we do a deal like this Banyan Tree deal, that's the third time we've worked with the Banyan Tree. They obviously had really good experiences the first two times. And that's not like some rogue dude like in Ras Al Khaimah running a deal. That gets approved in Singapore, across their global head office and things too. We continue to see merchants work with us repeatedly. We continue to see buyers coming back. We continue to look at how we, people talk about closing the redemption loop and looking at repeat buyers and things too, and repeat buyers across that business. I mean, it's something for us is that we continue to have merchant partners. I mean, there's people in this room that have been merchants of ours as well too, right? So if they want to, you ask them how that experience went, if they want to identify themselves.
You talk too fast.
What?
You talk too fast.
I know I talk too fast, but it's good because I'm used to being in a startup where things move fast, right? If I talked slow, it'd still be like last year and we'd be like 6 people and I don't know what, but no, I think it's something where it's really easy to generalize and say that the model's not working. It's really easy to say that, sorry, I'm trying. It's really easy to say that, there's no repeat business, and there's lots of studies. I don't know, 83% of the businesses that we've worked with tell us, we'll work with you again, right? So we have direct research. I would call probably some of that bit anecdotal research that focuses on a couple small examples. All I know is we continue to grow, and that for me is the best possible research that we have. Escapes for us was a way to, because it's a different business for us, right? Because I mean, It's different from an agency because with an agency, I walk in the door and say, I want to go somewhere, right? And then I say, where can I go? Or I want to go to this place, can you book it for me, right? For me, you wake up in the morning, check the website, oh, what's for sale? I never thought of going to, you know, San Stefano Resort, but it looks awesome to me. I'm going to buy it and come back in the summer and go. The buyer, sure. From a hotel perspective, is I'm not, what you're doing with us is you're not putting like ongoing, so it's not like I'm on the shelf constantly as a property, right? It's not like I sit there constantly at a certain price and be sold. Because for that, we're far more of a quick promotion channel. We sold 1,500 rooms, you know, so far for the Banyan Tree, right? So they can work and should work with other distribution channels, right? But as a first quarter of the year injection of selling 1,500 rooms up front, where we pay them up front, so by the time we pay them in the next 30 days for all those rooms, they're going to have all the cash up front for all those rooms, even before somebody even goes, right? A travel agency, you'll probably get paid 30 to 60 days afterwards, right? Depending on, I'm not an expert on that, right? But you get paid after somebody visits, right? Completely different model in that sense. It always remains cash flow positive from a hotel perspective, but it's also an intensive burst because we're essentially sending out, you know, hundreds of thousands of emails on a daily basis with those particular rooms to an audience that's used to, you know, and being open to potential offers like that, which just isn't happening from a travel agent. It's a different distribution channel. I'm not saying one's going to necessarily replace the other, but one's far more kind of short burst, high intensity to a different kind of style, type of audience, versus a travel agency, which is much more kind of like, ongoing demand kind of thing, but more kind of like even demand, right? But I don't know if that answers your question, but I tried.
Thank you very much. We're done on time. Thank you, Dan.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.